Welcome to the Performing Animal Rights podcast, where we explore the intersection of creative practice and animal rights activism. I'm your host, Ben Hunt, performance artist and researcher in performance studies and animal advocacy. Each episode, I sit down with artists, campaigners, and creatives who are using their work to challenge how we think about animals, justice, and social change. Today, I'm joined by Jen Armstrong and Sue Joyce from the Animal Rights Choir, a growing collective using the power of music, voice, and community to advocate for animal liberation. In this episode, we explore how collective singing becomes a form of protest, connection, and care. We talk about the origins of the choir, the role of joy and emotion in activism, and how creative practice can both reach new audiences and sustain those already within the movement. We also dive into the philosophy behind the choir, the power of shared voice, and what it means to build a creative community rooted in compassion and liberation. Before we begin, don't forget to check out our Substack newsletter, where I share deeper insights and reflections from the conversations I've had on the podcast. You can find everything, podcast episodes, newsletters, and more at performinganimalrights.org. Okay, let's get started. Thank you so much for coming on. I would just love to get stuck into hearing about the conception of Animal Rights Choir. How did it come to life? What sparked the idea?
I was staying with my good friend Sue here almost a year ago.
It was?
In January this year.
This year.
January this year. And Sue lives in Pembrokeshire, and it's an absolutely gorgeous place to be, for inspiration, for ideas, for helping yourself mentally, physically. It's just the most magical place. And I was sparking all sorts of ideas then coming to me as I was walking around this gorgeous countryside. There's lots of different sacred sites. There's an ancient woodland. There's a gorgeous beach really nearby. There's a very inspirational place to be. And being around Sue and her partner Matt and their dogs, it's just a beautiful little vegan community. It's a feeling of security and of support when I'm staying with them. So all these ideas were coming to me, and one of the ideas that came one day, walking through an ancient woodland, was we should do an animal rights choir and call it art.
Yeah, there's actually a video. The first video that's on our Instagram is the time she told me. And whenever Jen says, I've got an idea, I just get my phone and go, right, hang on. Because I know it's either going to be hilarious, ridiculous, or brilliant. And it was a brilliant, and I've still that original video made it onto the first row, and it's just you walking along the beach going, I'm going to set up a choir, and it's going to be an animal rights, like full jazz hands, animal rights choir, and I was like, oh god, this is great. But yeah, and that literally was it, wasn't it? And then there was just 6 months of talking about how it was going to be. And
I had like an idea for a logo, a rainbow came to me with this imagery of freedom and the rainbow, the colors, the vibrancy that the life can be if we want to embrace it as that. And I got this logo together, took it down to Sue. What do you think? She's like, yeah, this is great. And because Sue is so good with business and she's a passionate animal rights activist herself. And she's really good with merchandise and making something a brand and not just, bits and pieces. We thought it's a great idea to come together to do this project. I bring the animal rights songs. I'm the singer, helping the choir sing these songs. And Sue brings this other side of it. And we thought, together we can create something really special. And I think we have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really exciting and one of its kind, right? I haven't heard anything like it before. Is there a reason why you went animal rights and not just like a vegan choir? Was there a specific reason why saying, let's go animal rights?
Yeah. So there's kind of 2 points to this. The one is you can have somebody who's an animal rights who loves animals, but who also eats. So I wanted to call it animal rights to get those people who care about animals, aren't necessarily vegan, but that's what we're there for. We're there for the animals, the rights of the animals.
Yeah.
So if you are, a passionate person who cares about freedom for us, for animals, then it is for you. I also didn't want to call it a vegan choir because you don't have to be vegan to join it. You have to be passionate about animals, and you have to obviously enjoy singing. Otherwise, you wouldn't really want to be in a choir. But the idea is that, you know, it is a vegan space and it is a vegan choir, but we want to invite people who maybe aren't quite there yet, and it's a safe space for them. And they will see, you know, it's when you meet other vegans, you get inspired, you know, by how they live, how they are, what they look like, what they're eating. And I just feel like it's a really beautiful, as there are many ways to help people get from this place of loving animals but still eating them over to, okay, let's align my actions with how I feel and let's go vegan and look at all these beautiful people that, you know, I'm in a community with now. You know, it's
Yes.
easy.
I think so. And I think we've both got personal stories of this where people have talked to us about the choir. I had one a couple of months ago where a lady was talking to me. She was stood talking. She's vegetarian and her friend is a meat eater. And she said, I'd love to join your choir. And I said, absolutely, of course, you're welcome. You know, just chat, chat, chat. And she turned around to her friend and said, well, you can't join because you eat meat. And as a vegan, I didn't say a word because it's not my place. So I just said, actually, you can both join. And then you do just have to look inward, don't you? And think, do you know what? I was a vegetarian for nearly 28 years before I went vegan. And I would have had exactly that reaction. That's exactly, I felt like I was doing enough and I felt like I was doing the right thing. And she's in the place that I was 15 years ago when I went vegan. So yeah, and so I just said, yeah, you're back. And that's the thing we're really important. It was that everybody's included. But once they join and they feel the compassion and the love that's in the community already that's come on in 6 months, and then they also read the lyrics to the song, it's going to spark these little things of like, oh, really, okay, we need to be vegan. We need to be doing more. And I also think I do a lot of work in the vegan business sector. And it's a dirty word. Veganism is a dirty word at the moment. When it comes to money, when it comes to industry, when it comes to anything, moving anything along, sadly, it is a dirty word. And I'm not suggesting that we hide from that word at all. I'm absolutely the last person that would hide from the word vegan. But I do think that as a community coming together to sing, we can bring more people into veganism by using, as Jen said, animal rights rather than vegan choir.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And it touches upon something that has cropped up quite a lot in my conversations with creatives in the animal rights movement around how it's like a multi-pointed, these things where and we'll get onto this later, hopefully we'll see if there's any correlation here, but there's an output by the choir or whatever you're creating with the songs being sung, but you've also got the actual the inclusive nature of it, so the participation. So it's double-edged, right? You've got people transforming themselves in the choir and also the choir transforming people who are listening to it. And I think that's a really interesting pattern that I've spotted over the few years that I've been interviewing, where it's such an exciting thing. The creative art is such an exciting thing for that it can transform within and outside of what it is as well, which is really cool. Jen, you're a prolific solo artist with animal rights songs and with albums. Did you have experience of singing in a choir before that? And so did you? Was there a thing of you recognized that collective singing is powerful, or was this a completely new experience for you both?
We've both had experience with choirs. I used to do, when I was back at university, music uni, being in choirs, being in quartets, different vocal ensembles was a daily thing. It was part of my life for quite a long time. I left uni and I taught a community choir at the university, and simultaneously taught a choir at a high school once a week. And I did those both for about a year and a half, and that was many years ago. And since then, I've not really had any involvement with choirs. So it's been an experience for me to sort of step back into that. And I've had to be a bit brave with it because it always used to skip the shit out of me. So they go into the community choir, being faced with like 30 adults, and I was sort of 20, 22,
Right.
21 at the time. Like, oh my God, I want to teach all these people, tell them what to do. So I'm glad I had that experience and that I could do it, even if I've not done it for a long time. But singing with other people is something that I've really missed, and something I want to bring more into what I do, because it's such a gorgeous thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I not at all professionally. I sang at school and I was in a couple of musicals at school, and I was always told at school that my voice was too loud. I was never told it was any good, but I was always told it was too loud and I sang too loudly. So I joined the county choir. So I was in the Staffordshire County Choir for quite a while. That was a long time ago because I'm a bit older than Jen, so that was in the 90s. And I haven't sung really, other than a few open mics. I haven't sung at all since then. But being around Jen, we sing. So my son, I've got a son who's 23. One of the things and he's got a really good voice actually. And one
He's
of the
not in
things
square.
no, I know, but he will be. He will be. But one of the things we've always done is sung. We do this ridiculous thing where we sing almost like a fake opera to each other down the phone. And you and me do it quite a lot as well. And I guess we do sing to each other, but we sing. So Jen's got a thing where we speak most days, even when Jen's not here. So she's out in the, living out in your van and I'm here, wherever we're living. And you'll quite often start with, and you'll sing every morning, the voice special. And I know it'll start with, Stu, how are you today? And then I'll try and sing the song back in the same, whatever it is. So and obviously you're a professional singer and I'm very much not, but it's just something we've always done. And I'm not shy, so I'll sing in front of anybody, whether I could sing or not, I don't care. But I love singing and I feel the energy that you get from singing and the release that you get, particularly when you're singing about something that you truly believe in. It's incredible. But also that community, having been in a big, Staffordshire County Choir was a big choir. And it was a long time ago, but I still remember finishing, we did a lot of big performances, and I remember feeling like, oh, that was so good, and I really enjoyed it. And I think it's brought that back for me. It's brought back my teenage years of singing, really. Yeah, it's incredible. And I think that's what we're getting from the people that have joined us, isn't it? Is that feeling of community. And
we're not sung, with other people and ages.
Yeah.
Because most members they're older, not kids.
No.
So it's been a long time since I've been at school or been at uni and done this sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I also think the fact that because we come at everything with compassion, there are people joining, and the first thing they say always, and I'm sure you get this as a professional musician, and I've certainly seen people say this to you, and they say it to me now as well, is, I can't sing. And I'm like, well, you probably can sing. You're just afraid, or somebody's told you can't sing. And actually, maybe some people can't sing. But it doesn't matter, because the whole point of this choir is that it's bringing people together. And do you know what? If you're not confident, and I know I've said this to people recently, just come on stage and mime. It doesn't matter. It's actually about having a presence and feeling like you're enjoying it. And you say that to somebody, and I'm thinking of, and I'm not going to out them on this, but the particular person in our choir that said that to me and said, I want to be a part of it, but I probably won't actually sing. And last time we performed and they were there, I heard them because they were to the right of me and I could hear them singing. And afterwards, I just went up and I went, you were brilliant. That was absolutely fantastic. And I think it's one of the things we sort of coined the phrase of find your voice. And that means a lot of different things with this choir. It's about animal activism, but actually, yeah, find your voice, because I think there are so many people that have been pushed down by their family or by their peers or by society. Be like, you shouldn't be singing. You're not good enough. And that's a terrible thing.
I was at a winter solstice event yesterday. We were sitting around a fire. I was with my friend Stella, who's a member of the choir. And there was a little girl sitting on her dad's knee. She must have been maybe 2.5, 3. And I think she was singing Rudolph, but like, na na na, oh, whatever it was, na 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 na, in a very childlike. And she kept on doing it over a 5-minute period. She kept on sort of just doing little bits of it. And eventually, Dad said something like, "Okay, that's enough now." Whatever it was, he said. I was just like, "Oh my God." Like, let us sing.
Just sing with us.
Like, let us sing.
Yeah.
Like, we're all taught to, and I was thinking it's interesting in school, we're taught to put our hands up and that's when we speak.
Yeah.
And we've all got this fear because we've been told off for using our voices, whether it be speaking, be it singing. We're told off, you need to be quiet unless you're spoken to. And it's getting that, because, as animal rights activists, we need to be confident using our voices because we've got a really important message to share. So it's getting through that barrier of, actually, it's not only is it okay for me to use my voice to speak up for the animals, but actually it's fucking needed.
It's really important. Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many really interesting points there. When you're talking about feeling like we've been told to not speak at certain things, like that example there with the child, and then the parallels with being an activist or being a vegan around a dinner table, and like don't cause a scene, like don't
Mhm.
speak up for the animals because you're being awkward, you're making tension. There's a real interesting parallel there, isn't there? And I think that's really exciting and inspiring that the choir's there to kind of build confidence in itself, but also speaks to not just as a singer or a person who wants to sing, but also the bubbling under of the animal rights message, which is in the minority, right? It's still poo-pooed and it's still like hushed by the majority. So that's really another double-edged sword right there. You're full of double-edged swords. Triple-edged swords, just a circle of swords. That's
I
really
think it's really important that Jen, I was going to say made, we don't make your songs, but brought out a song called Leader a couple of years ago. And I witnessed that song from almost from inception and listened to it. And just thought, this is amazing. This song is amazing. And then to see that being played at a festival and people coming up afterwards and saying, that song's inspired me to do these things.
wow.
That's kind of what I can see the choir doing, because you're right, you're sort of saying stand up and be a leader, but not everyone can do that. But I'm never shy and I'm quite happy to stand up and I love confrontation. I'm happy with it. You are confident and you're brilliant in your ability. If we can bring other people that haven't quite got that, I mean, some of the people, don't get me wrong, some of the people in the choir are just like, yeah, we're confident, we're here already. And that's amazing. But what I've loved is seeing that people that haven't got that, necessarily got that confidence and I'm not just talking about singing now, I'm talking about just speaking out about who they are in society and who vegans are, to see them being brought along and singing with the choir. Like, right, we've both got very loud voices, metaphorically and physically. We can bring you with us. And that for me has been so empowering and so, like, it's been hard work to get this set up. And it's been worth every single minute of the work that's gone into it, because you're seeing these people now coming forward and we've got kids singing on the stage with us now, and that's incredible, like with their parents. It's just brilliant to see. They're like, yeah, we're these people have got voices. All we're doing is just helping them to find the voice, and then they're there and they're amazing people. But sometimes you just need someone to give you a little bit of a push, a gentle push, and it's working.
And to create that community, right? To create a
Yeah.
warm, inclusive place for people to come
Yeah.
and to feel that for sure. So I'd love to dig deeper then about the choices that you make for the choir in regards to song choice, because I noticed, Jen, some are your songs, but are you writing new stuff as well? What's the general creative process with this?
Yeah, well, we started off using my songs because they were already there and they're good. They've got good messages in them, and obviously I love them. So
I'm the number one fan.
yeah,
Number 4,
and the messages that they're strong and they're important to be shared. So that's partly why we started with my songs. And now we're just starting to branch out into picking different songs from our favorite animal rights artists. I want to stay away, I think, for now, to do any big artists. Not that I can't really think of any animal rights artists that are, huge, but we've got a member starting to arrange a song by Mobius Loop, and I've got a song by Be Friendly in the works, and I want to do a Barbara Helen song and maybe a Sweet Goose song. And Sweet Goose was thinking about writing one, and I definitely want to write a specifically written for the choir. I mean, the first song we released, that was with the choir in mind. Our Planet Theirs Too song that we wrote for National Animal Rights Day, that was our first song. And that's community song. We have a dream. So yeah, it's just a combination of songs that I'm passionate about and want to get out. I want people singing them because they're empowering and they've got strong messages. But I also want to cover songs of other animal rights artists that maybe aren't so well known. In the vegan community, even. Not everybody knows of Barbara Helen, but she's a beautiful soul. She's got some gorgeous songs. So it'd be really lovely to cover one of her songs. And obviously Mobius Loop, they're just epic, great songs, amazing messages, really gorgeous bands. So I want us to get one of their songs regularly performed. Animal rights, compassion, love, empowerment. They're kind of the key things we want to be singing about. Because as you say, like, it's so important that what you brought up, it's just as much about inner work and helping the individual as it is sharing the message and then hoping to help, the people on the other side. So yeah, when people are singing these songs, one thing that I love about singing my songs is that I'm sharing a message that's deep inside of me, and I'm sharing it in a way that I love and that I know that is being received well. People enjoy listening to my songs and my voice and my music, and I'm hoping and I'm sure that choir members are starting to feel that too. They now have this message to share in a way that they really enjoy sharing it and know that it's going to be received. They know that people are going to enjoy hearing the music, hearing them sing it, and yet they are still singing their truth and singing a message that they're so passionate about. So that's my goal, like getting these messages, helping the individual, but then sharing the message with the world, and hopefully, bringing them on board as well. That's the aim.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think there's an edge of animal rights, which obviously is anger, right? There's anger in the world, and that comes from a negative. And there's righteous anger, right? Which absolutely has sound place in how we feel, the righteous anger against what's happening to animals. Is there a conscious effort, or is there any thought behind we should avoid specific, like, super angry stuff? Because obviously you mentioned that the choir's like based in freedom, love and compassion and joy. But obviously, on the other side of animal rights, people do activism, which has a real pointy stick kind of angry side of it. Would you shirk away from that? Do you think it doesn't fit the remit of what you're trying to create, or what does that feel to you?
I'm going to start the answer on this, and then I'm going to hand this to Jen, because I think Jen, this is where Jen and I are very different people. I am driven by spite and hatred. And that literally, that's literally me.
Dark to my.
I am absolutely. I'm not. I am. So the outside persona is kind of like, I don't get me wrong. I'm kind to everybody I meet, and somebody told me a long time ago that you should meet everybody as if they're grieving, and I think that's the best piece of advice I've ever been given. And I absolutely believe that's true. But then equally, if that person you're kind to is horrible, then I'll just roll back. So, but I think there's a really I think I'm old enough and ugly enough to be what's the word, condescending to whoever I meet, basically, and that's kind of my vibe. Whereas Jen is genuinely beautiful and genuinely, and luckily Jen's the one that writes the songs, and I just perform them. So I think I'm absolutely driven by spite and hatred for so many people. But the songs that Jen writes are just beautiful. But I actually, and this is as an observer to your songs, I find sometimes with some of them, particularly from your first album, there's actually a lot of anger in those songs. If you're listening and you're looking properly, they are actually full of. There's a lot of anger in them, but I think that they're just performed and written so beautifully that comes out as compassion. But if you're vegan and you listen properly, you can hear it and it resonates with you. But
You did your homework.
Who are you? Anyway, but now I'm going to hand over to the actual compassionate person in this team, which is you, because you're really nice.
Thanks, Sue. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to start with, when I first started writing animal rights songs, I was very angry. Obviously partly at myself, because I was like, what the hell is this, and what have I been doing? And yeah, the first 10 animal rights songs I wrote, they weren't necessarily overtly angry, but I was angry as hell. And I was also going through the phase that unfortunately most vegans go through, where you're telling your friends and your family, these people you've known for years and years, and in some instances your whole life, you're telling them, oh my God, I've just found this out, let's go vegan. And they're like, you're crazy. And it just adds a whole nother insane layer to the whole thing. So you have to get angry, because it's as you say, you have to be angry. because it's a horrific situation that could be. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in existence, and it is because of people's stupidity and ignorance and greed and all the things. So I started writing animal rights songs partly because I had this anger and this despair, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was telling my friends and my family, and most of them were turning around saying I was crazy. And it wasn't, really a conscious thing to sit down and be like, right, I'm going to write down a song from the animal's perspective. It was like, fuck, I've got all this stuff inside, and it needs to come out, otherwise I'm actually going to implode. So some of the songs from the first album were written from that place of just anger and despair that it's going on, and that the people that you love don't seem to actually care at all.
Despair is you're right, actually. Like, if I think of a song like Mother, that to me, I mean, how many years have we known each other? How many years has that album been out? And that makes me cry still. Even when we sing it as a choir, I have to really think, right, I've just got to get through this and sing it. And we actually give warnings on the rehearsals about some of the songs because the topics are so emotive. And especially if you're talking to vegans that are quite new to this, or vegetarians that are going to have that, like, oh, I never even thought about that when you're talking about the dairy industry. We do generally try and warn, don't we? Especially with kids, because kids should know the truth, but equally you've still got to be careful how it's put across. And despair is a really good word. I think we all go through it, don't we? And you put it across so beautifully.
Thank you. I've kind of, I've moved through the angry phase, and I'm still, well, I'd say I'm more passionate really than I was, because we grow, don't we? And we just keep building on and why we're here, what we're doing, the work that we're doing, the community, just different fingers and pies and all that sort of thing. And I just, I don't want to be angry because it's not good for me. And I don't want to be angry with somebody else because I've been where they were. I wasn't born vegan. I wasn't even born vegetarian. And I've been in that ignorant place. And I don't believe, I just want to do everything with love now. It's just, it's taken me years to get here. But it's where I am now. As I say, I'm just as passionate. I'm more passionate about the cause and so sure that this is the right path and this is what we should be doing and everyone should be vegan. But I'm coming at it from a different place now. Made peace with my anger and why I was angry in the first place. And I'm not forgiving or making excuses for my friends and family who aren't vegan. But I'm not angry at them anymore. I'm sad for them because they're making horrific choices for themselves and for the planet and for the animals. And it is infuriating, but I'm not angry anymore. And I think that comes through in my songs now. Yeah. It's passionate, but it's with a fun edge, because we're here to have a good time.
Oh, we do. We have an I mean, this is it. We've got quite deep and quite serious with this, but actually it's all that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Even though we're doing some quite dark songs.
It is a serious subject. It's, the most serious subject. And that's what brings us together. But in light of that, we need more light in our lives to counteract this darkness that we're faced with every day. So the choir rehearsal and the performances are a space for where, an hour, half an hour, a few hours of we're in a vegan space. Yeah. We're in a space where people actually give a shit,
Okay, absolutely. That's what comes across with with our relationship, but with the relationship with people in the choir is because you go, most people in the choir, well, I think pretty much all the people in the choir now are vegan. You're in that safe space. So you don't have to have that conversation because we all already agree. So then we can just talk about whatever. So we end up knocking around. I mean, me and you just mess about the whole time because it doesn't matter because we're already happy with, we can't possibly do any more. You and I cannot do any more in this world than we're already doing. We just can't. We're living and breathing this 24 hours a day. This is our life. We're in a vegan community, doing everything we can. So that there's a sense of freedom in that, I think. I absolutely feel free of all the things when I was a vegetarian that I didn't realise were just pulling me down, and I didn't realise that, and now it's just like actually,
exactly,
yeah. And then you're right. You can have compassion, and you're right. You can have sadness for those other people because when they do realise you know how that feels. And you can be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're going to feel that this. Yeah.
Well, they're making themselves sick.
Yeah.
Because it's on an energetic level, when you eat in animals like pain, sadness, that is literally bringing you down, and it is making you sick.
Yeah.
And that is why I was angry back then, because I still had all that going through me. And then, that sort of clears away. You do quite literally, your energy heightens and yeah, and it's easier to not be angry.
I'm still angry.
I'm still angry.
Well, but it's directing it, isn't it? And like you say, like, I think what's great about the choir is it's got the safe space is a generator for avoiding the moments of burnout which anger creates, and is a place where you can generate joy to keep us healthy and to keep us not feeling alone and keeping that energy. Absolutely. You kind of briefly mentioned moments, and I know it's all quite new, so it's okay if there isn't any specific examples, but have you noticed when you create it, is there anything that unexpectedly has happened or something you expected to happen, which is really rewarding, like seeing some transformation or the feelings that you get doing it or feedback from it?
Well, I know because a few of the members who've joined have just felt more confident singing. They've wanted to sing. They are singers, but they're new to it. And it gives them the chance to use their voice and use it on stage in front of people. But with, being in a choir, you're not on your own.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice way to practice performing whilst actually performing, but not, being completely in the spotlight. So I know for a few members have really, enjoyed that aspect of it, but they're into their singing. They want to do it more, do it maybe solo as well.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that. Also, there's a bit that we do at the end, near the end of each rehearsal online, where we do a random dance track. So it can be like anything. It is your favorite bit. You can have like there's been from every genre of music we've had so far, and all sorts of different years and all sorts. And what I've definitely seen is, obviously people are aware that they're all on Zoom and we can all see each other. But what I've definitely noticed is that the people that used to just sort of sit there like this and not take part in the dance, I've seen them dancing now.
Oh, great. I'm too busy dancing.
I'm too busy dancing. Whereas I am kind of dancing, but I'm also, doing whatever. And, but you can kind of see it, that they are less shy. And even though they know everybody can sort of see them, in that you're still in your own house dancing, but I think that's translated to on when we've been performing now as well. So we've got people that, when I think back when we first did a few performances at like Freedom Fields or Veg Out West last year, that particularly this year, I can't believe how much just in the last 6 months. But when we did Our Planet There's Two, there's an actual physical dance to that. And at the start, they were sort of a little bit, it was almost like finger dancing. They're like, oh yeah, we can get them. And now they're really going for it and they're really doing the dance. And I think that is the power of the community and feeling the friendships within that community already, but also just that confidence of, yes, I've done this before. And it's not about learning a dance. It's about having that confidence to do that. And it's a very simple dance. Anyone can learn it. But I think what I've also enjoyed, just on a very personal level, is the way that the way that you introduce, or you or me, whoever's doing it introduces it. I mean, it's not like anything when any kind of performance, isn't it? Especially if you're a double act, as it were. And obviously it's a whole choir, but it's generally me and Jen saying things down the microphone. The little in-jokes that have happened now between me and you are now shared between the whole choir, which I love. So now you'll say something, like there's a certain way you introduce one part of the song that cracks me up every time I say it. And now I hear these guys sniggering as well. And it's just really fun. It's lovely having those kind of in-jokes and that. Yeah, I mean, it's all community. It's all the same thing, isn't it? But yeah, but also seeing that happening in an audience, and certainly I felt that in the last few, where we've actually had quite a good audience, seeing them, because the choir's got so much energy now, and because when we're singing one of the upbeat songs like Our Planet There's Two, people are clapping and people are just in the back. When we're at Veg Fest, there was like a group of 10 people at the back of the room doing the dance. And it's just having that thing that one of us to be like, you guys are doing great. And just being able to break that thing, that you're almost breaking the fourth wall, isn't it? We sort of like, we're performing, but actually you're part of this, and feeling like the audience are part of that. Now, I'm sure as a performer, Jen probably gets that, but for people that aren't performers in their daytime job, feeling that, it's really good. And the choir are definitely feeling that. So to leave the singing and feeling like that whole room has had that energy is incredible. And then that just builds. It's
Natural energy boost.
yeah, it is.
I would love to hear your thoughts on, because I'm such an advocate of creative arts as activism and in the animal rights movement, and I spend my research was basically saying that we should think of creative arts as equally as important as any sort of activism, whether that's direct action, whether that's, and they're all different, they all have different values. And I know you both have come from different corners. Like, Sue, I know you've done actual like rescue, and Jen, I know you've just been hammering it with your solo stuff and being picked up by activists as well. And you've been at protests and festivals and things like that. I'd really love to hear your insights in where you see the role of the choir, but also more extensively what the choir represents, which is creative practice in the animal rights movement as a form of activism, or whether you don't at all. You might not think that at all. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I see us as a compassionate army.
Yeah.
You know, we're freedom warriors, but we're doing it with joy, with peace, and again going back to it being so good for us as individuals, and then sharing that with the world. I think that is so important to recognize and put active energy and time into helping yourself. You know, however you want to call it, living yourself, whatever. But just valuing yourself and knowing that you are a valuable person and that you deserve to be happy and you deserve the time and the health, you know, and all the things that as human beings we deserve. And I can't even remember the beginning of the question.
So, well, what I was going to say about it was that I think there's lots of different, as you said, there's lots of different forms of activism. I see this as a way to, there's less likely where you're going to get arrested. So, that's how I think. If somebody gives me a microphone on the street, I'm gonna have a go. But if I'm singing, I think people are less likely to have a go at you because it's a gentler activism. And I think then we can bring out people that would not go and do the marches that we do and stand there with microphones and march around London and shout at people, or even have very confrontational talks to people on the street or whatever. You don't have to do that because your singing is less likely that someone's going to come at you, because what's more gentle? You know, even if it's a big song, even if you're really singing your heart out, you're just thinking. That's actually all you're doing. How can that be seen as aggressive? Can't be. Yeah, maybe you're singing Rage Against the Machine, you know, but you can't. Do you know what I mean? Even with that, you're just a person singing, and we've all got this instrument. Well, most of us are lucky enough to have this instrument that we can speak and we can talk and we can sing. So to use it, I think it's less likely that you'll hit a wall, because everybody that has the ability to hear will think, oh, what are they singing about? And they might not necessarily hear the lyrics at first, but they'll hear the melody and think, oh, it's beautiful. Most people are moved by music.
Yeah, it hits them on that vibrational audio level. The music gets through to them, and you know, something that other forms of activism doesn't necessarily have. Maybe if you're playing some music during, you know, the outreach, there has a degree, but having the live voices there, it is really impactful, but being very gentle at the same time. And it's different. And like you say, like, it's also, we need all these different ways of doing the activism and different angles.
And absolutely, I think certainly, as you touched on it about, I used to have a sanctuary. When you've got a sanctuary, like so many people do, you can't go out protesting. You can't go and risk getting arrested, because if you get arrested, everyone in your sanctuary, let's stop. Like, you can't do it. But actually, but also I think there's a lot of pressure on every vegan that you should be going out there, and being vegan isn't enough, and blah, blah, blah. And I just think, you know, some people don't have the mental capacity for it.
Yeah, I don't quite agree with that sentiment.
I don't. That's what I mean.
I see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I do.
But I really believe if you are a vegan, you're an absolute hero.
I think
you're amazing.
Yeah.
And that should be celebrated.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, if you can do more, absolutely amazing. But it frustrates me when people don't being vegan isn't enough. Because it is enough.
It's tough.
It's absolutely amazing. Despite just being vegan, you are going to be affecting your friends, your family. You know, with the food choices you're making, you're energetically putting your money and money into these vegan products.
Yeah.
So you are. Yeah, you're not going shout on the streets. You're not out, protesting, but you're by, your choices making a difference.
Yeah. We're all different people, and there's an activism for every type of person, and some people, like you said, just cannot quite do it. But that's maybe where they can feel like they can do it is through the choir.
Yeah, because it's gentle.
Yeah.
We're singing, we're just having a good time.
Yeah. And even if they're just doing that, even if they're not going to one of the live rehearsals that we do or singing, they're just doing that in their own home on Zoom. If that empowers someone else to feel like they can push away this rhetoric of, like I was saying, like, you're not doing enough because being a vegan isn't enough. Just stop having to go at people. They're tired. Vegans are already exhausted. Because by the time you reach veganism, true veganism, I don't mean you've just gone plant-based or you've just gone vegan. By the time you've been through all the emotions that we've talked about tonight, you're exhausted already. And you've probably been alienated, and you've probably had somebody had a go at you. You're already exhausted. The last thing you need to be told is another vegan saying you're not doing enough. So you can just empower somebody through something as emotional as singing, as uplifting, then, that's great. I think that's what we get out of it, is seeing other people, just giving them a little bit back and saying, yeah, look, you are enough. And this is, well, you are enough. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the best pictures for a choir to join a choir I've ever heard. That's really inspirational. Yeah. It's true. You're right. Like, it's the pressure for people to do things and the guilt tripping and even self guilt tripping. Right? You kind of in your head and you're going, I should be doing it, but having those windows to join communities, whether it's online or in person, I think so vital and so exciting, and something I do think the animal rights movement needs more of. So all the power to you both. It's amazing what you're doing. What are the plans then? What's coming up? Is there any new things in the pipeline, or is it just building community? What's the plan for the next year or so? Or is it a secret?
We've just started arranging in-person rehearsals in various locations in the UK. We've got a gorgeous couple in Southampton, and we had a little meet up with them and a few of the community in that area who are interested in joining the choir. We had a meet up about a month ago, and they're going to be starting rehearsals in January under the ARC umbrella. And we've got a really beautiful woman in Reading doing the same thing, with potential 2 or 3 other locations, Cardiff being one, Bristol being one, Midlands being one, on the cards. And that's definitely part of the next stage. Because as we have said, like, doing the online rehearsals is loads of fun. We love it. But there is something about singing in person together. And obviously that's not something we achieve online. So we're passionate about spreading it in that way now physically. But we can't be everywhere all at once.
We tried in the last 6 months.
No, we did very well.
It's very tiring.
But doing it week after week, which is what you need to build up a community in the area, it requires somebody who lives in the area. So we've got Ollie and Poppy in Southampton, Rona and Reading, as I say, potentially a few other places. And we want that to keep growing. So people are just coming forward saying, oh, I love the choir. And either, do you do rehearsals in my area? And then we'll say, no, but, can you put a word out into your community? Maybe there's somebody who's a singer who has experience with choirs who might want to start something up with you. Or sometimes, themselves, like in the case of Ollie and Rona, they emailed, say, we were thinking about doing something similar ourselves, and then we've seen that you've already done it. How can we get involved? And they both got so much more experience than I have. Ollie's really good with arranging and notating music, which is something I love arranging, but writing the notes down for people I really struggle with now. I used to do it at uni, and again, that was many years ago. So
Brilliant.
It's great having him on blog for that.
It's been great.
So that's a big part of
it.
the
And
next
something else we did as well earlier in the years, we at a wellness festival. We led a don't know what you call it, but it was like, it was an art rehearsal, but it was a workshop. Yeah. Yeah. Which for me personally was amazing because we sang a few songs and we did some rehearsals, we did some breath work and then Jen kind of took over and got people to sit around and give us lyrics for an animal rights song. And this is where I flipped from being Jen's business partner and Jen's buddy to just Jen's biggest fan, because I just sit there and watch you work and think, oh my days, like I wish I had that talent to be able to take people's scribbles and people's shout outs, and then all of a sudden there was a rhythm, and then there were vocals, and then there was this tune, and within an hour we got this whole song, and then they learnt the song and they performed the song, and I was proper crying about that time. They were, because I could see, because I sat back and
You remember the song now?
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
After victim.
Oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was really good.
It was.
Yeah, really good song. And these were just people that have never had any singing experience, never any songwriting experience. And I just sat back as your mate and just watched that. Was like, this is incredible. Like the power that you gave to those people by taking their words and putting them into the song. And it's obviously,
and then we all sang it together.
we all sang it together. Yeah. And the people that were at the retreat came and watched us. We recorded it. We put it. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to give people that thing of like, you can do this. Like, you've got to be good at what you've got to be like Jen to be able to actually put it really in, and put this whole thing together. But the fact that you can get that, there were about 30 people in that room and they all just put a little bit in, and it was beautiful to see that working together.
It's inspiring people to be creative in animal rights.
Yeah.
And it's showing them how they can have a voice and then show it to the world.
Yeah.
In this form of art. You know, I'm a musician, so it comes through his music. If you're working with me, that's what I wanted to show them, how easy it is. I mean, it's not easy.
It's easy.
But you know what I'm saying?
It's really
You know,
hard.
we sat there for 20-25 minutes and we came out a song.
Yeah.
And I think it's inspiring. I hope it would be inspiring. I'm sure they're not all going to become singer-songwriter, animal rights activists the next day, but maybe they will start playing around a bit more with the music, with singing a melody, with writing some poetry, even just writing a story, whatever it is, like getting what they've got inside their message and putting it out in a physical form or an audio form, whatever it is, to show to the world. Because I believe that's a big part of why we're here, to, bring out of us and share it, create.
It's all storytelling, isn't it? That's how generations of people, that's how humans have evolved. It's all through storytelling. Even if I'm not religious, but even if you look at the Bible, it's all just stories that have been passed down and down and down and down. And that's the same. Those people will have gone away that day and gone, I met this brilliant woman called Vegan Queen V, and we did this song with her, and they will story tell. And I don't mean that in a way of like to big you up, but I mean that they were so empowered by that half an hour session that they will go away and talk about it, and that'll make them feel more confident. And it's all stories. It's all stories to tell people. And yeah.
So,
That's how it feels.
So I'm sure we'll be doing more of those workshop-y things as well.
Yeah, that's great.
We've got this summer we did, as I say, many shows. It was a lot because we're just trying to get the word out about Quiet, and we're trying to get members and get people to be excited and inspired by it. So I think it'll be a mix of that next year as well. But going forward, I would like to really just have many shows going on in around the country, and then further afield as well. But led by these the choirs in that area. So if the Reading Vegan Festival, the Reading Animal Rights Choir will do that, and then anyone else can join, but that's their thing. So we can be doing lots of events everywhere, but it doesn't necessarily need me and Sue to be there every one. And I would like us to come together maybe twice a year, summer, winter, and do a big concert with everyone, and get everyone together, make it a big celebration, a big event, and just, raise the roof with animal rights songs. So that's a plan for the future. A musical is in the works, potentially. Eurovision. Yeah, there's just lots of potential things, and we're just open and just, waiting to see how it's all going to kind of unfold, whilst just having that the fire and the passion moving it forwards.
Yeah, that's so exciting. It's yeah, it feels like it's unstoppable. Just the energy and the collective nature. And I think it's all pointing up, right? There's so many opportunities and people are hungry for it. It's a lonely world out there. So I think it's such a special thing you guys have created. So thank you so much for all your fantastic work. How can people join? What's the links? What's the bits and bobs?
You can sorry, I was like, you're gonna see. So animalrightschoir.com is the website, and that's where you can find out basically sort of how you can join. Rehearsals online are every Wednesday night, and they are free. And we hope the plan going forward is that we'll continue for those to be free, because we want people that are sat at home. We want them to be able to have that community, and we want to offer that out for free. And the way that we're going to keep that free is by charging for a membership. So if you want to perform with us, you pay a membership, which is going to be £10 a month. And then if you go to a choir rehearsal in person, you will also pay £10 for that rehearsal. So that's how we're going to fund the free online. But I think it's really important for us to keep that free, really, just so that everybody of every ability can join. And then if you want to sing and you want that community, but you don't quite feel confident enough to do that in person, that's okay, because you can just join us on Zoom. But it also means you can go out there and, as we've said, you can do that in person. But yeah, animalrightschoir.com, or on the socials, we're just at Animal Rights Choir.
And there's a link for the Zoom.
Yes.
It's actually Google Meet on our Instagram page.
Yeah.
Link to the merch. People can buy T-shirts and mugs and things. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the moment, 20% of the we are a for-profit. It is a for-profit, but 20% of that goes through to my charity, which is Little Green Pigeon. And then the money from that then goes on to help other animal sanctuaries, because that's what Little Green Pigeon's all about. It's a fundraising charity, but CIC basically. So yeah, so it's kind of going somewhere. But
I want us to be sort of a funnel. Like, I love that my money always goes to vegan businesses.
Yeah.
And I want Animal Rights Choir to be a funnel for people's money to go somewhere. I'm not saying that if they can't give it to sanctuaries and things themselves, but if we've got this constant, for sure, part of what you're giving us is going somewhere. I mean, it's not going somewhere good.
Yeah.
But it's going directly to help the animals. I just love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. That's lovely. Yeah, it's all connected, right? It's all positive. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for listening to this episode. A huge thank you to Jen Armstrong and Sue Joyce for such a thoughtful and uplifting conversation. For more episodes, resources, and insights into creative activism, head to performinganimalrights.org, where you can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for behind-the-scenes content and deeper reflections on performance and animal advocacy. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, goodbye.